and welcome back to another video. This is American English with this guy. I'm this guy. The goal of this channel is to help you improve your English. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another English lesson. In today's lesson, I want to talk about what Americans really mean when they say excuse me. Last week, I made a video about what Americans really mean when they say sorry. We say sorry a lot, but believe it or not, we say excuse me even more. The first way Americans will use excuse me is when something basically comes out of their body. We call those bodily functions. I'm talking about things like sneezes. And in English, when we want to fake a sneeze, because I don't have to sneeze right now, we would say achoo, achoo. So when somebody sneezes, they might say, oh, excuse me. If somebody coughs, excuse me. If somebody burps, they might say, excuse me. If somebody's stomach grumbles because they're hungry, like right before lunch, and it's a quiet room and other people hear them, they might say, ooh, sorry. They might say, sorry, excuse me. So if you're ever in the United States and your body makes some kind of noise, you might want to say, excuse me. It's my lunch break at school. Today, we are having what's called the teacher's workshop. There are no students in school today. It's just teachers meeting with other teachers, talking about how their lessons are going. Another time Americans will say excuse me is when we want someone's attention. A lot of times when I'm teaching, my students will say, excuse me, Mr. Watson, I have a question. Maybe you're at a store and you need some help. You could ask the person working there, oh, excuse me, could I get some help, please? If you're in a city for the first time and you want to ask somebody for directions, the person who is walking by you, you might say, excuse me, to get their attention. It's a beautiful fall day here. I'm on the athletic fields behind my school. Unfortunately, they've been closed because we have so many new cases. I'm filming this in the fall of 2020. Another reason Americans might say excuse me is when somebody is in their way. Maybe they want to squeeze by somebody in a tight spot. You might hear them say, excuse me, can I squeeze by? Maybe you're doing your groceries in a store and the aisles might be quite narrow. You might ask another person who is in your way, excuse me, could you move aside, please? Another time you might hear Americans saying excuse me is when they have to leave the room. I was just in a room with some teachers in a meeting, and maybe if I had to go to the bathroom or if I had to take a phone call in the other room, I might say, oh, can you excuse me just for a second, as I was getting up out of my seat. Another time you might hear an American say, excuse me, and this is my favorite one, is when they can't believe something happened. Maybe you are speaking and somebody interrupts you. You could say, excuse me, or you might even hear that person say, excuse you, I was speaking. Maybe you're waiting in line somewhere and somebody cuts in front of you, meaning they get in front of you when they should be behind you. We call that cutting the line. When that person steps in front of you, you might say, excuse me, or excuse you, I was standing here. Another time you might say excuse me is when you accidentally bump into somebody. Let's say you're back in that grocery store doing your groceries in those narrow aisles and you accidentally back into someone. You could turn to them and say, oh, excuse me, I didn't see you were there. Before I talk about the last one, I would like to let you know of a deal that is going on italki right now. There's a link in the description box that if you click it and you buy a lesson at italki to help you improve your English, you will get bonus credits towards another lesson. I was on italki not too long ago looking for English tutors, and there is literally a guy named Luis who can give you a lesson for $1 American. So if you are at that point in your English where you think the next step is to actually get a tutor, I encourage you, check out italki, follow that link. Once you make a purchase, you will get bonus credits towards your next lesson. And the final way that Americans will say, excuse me, and that is when you don't hear what somebody said. Maybe their voice was too low, maybe there was another noise in the background, you didn't hear exactly what they said. You can say, oh, excuse me, I didn't hear what you said. Excuse me? Excuse me? Maybe touch your ear like that. Oh, excuse me? And that lets the person know you didn't hear them, you didn't understand them. Another way, instead of saying excuse me, to let somebody know that you didn't hear them is, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. That is going to do it for today's lesson. I need to get back into school. My break is over. But if you are looking for more English lessons, right up there is the lesson I did about Americans saying sorry. And below that is a lesson I did at a store that I actually got kicked out of. Thanks for watching. See you next time.